Shalom, shalom. Welcome to this video in which we discuss the prophet portions associated with Parashat Vayakhel and Parashat Pekudei combined in one session. It is all about the restoration of Israel and the establishment of the Messiah's millennial reign. In the first portion, in Ezekiel 36, verse 16 to 38, we read about the restoration of Israel after the diaspora, before the eyes of the nations. And the reason why that is mentioned is Adonai specifically says, so that the nations will know that the God of Israel is the one and only Elohim, or Adonai, the one and only God, the true God. Adonai caused the land to become like the Garden of Eden, and the land is populated again as the Moedim are celebrated. But sadly, the Christian church remains largely oblivious to this fact in their blindness. While the church remains oblivious in their blindness, the Islamic faith of all, the Islamic nations, noted how these prophetic events started coming together, and they are scared. They know that the Jewish Messiah is about to return. Remember the war that was started by Hamas on the 7th of October 2023 was called Al-Aqsa Flood. It was their response to the red heifers that are in Israel. They knew that the red heifers sacrificed to produce the ashes for purification after death and for purification and dedication of priests to serve in the Jewish temple is required. They knew that the return of the Jewish Messiah is imminent. They started a war in order to try to prevent the return of the Jewish Messiah. And as I say, sadly, the Christian church are oblivious and blind, and not hot and not cold, but lukewarm. My Bible teach me what will happen to lukewarmness. Ezekiel is addressed as the Son of Man. It's a crown and title that belongs to Yeshua, and as he will wear many crowns and titles. But the title Son of Man links Ezekiel 36 to our gospel portion as well. Ezekiel is a son of man, and he found himself in the Babylonian diaspora. Adonai explained to him the reason why, and it is at least threefold. The land did not rest for 7 times 70 years during the sabbatical years over a 490-year period. Also, the slaves were not freed after 7 years of slavery. For 7 times 70 years, the 490 years that Israel were in the promised land at the time. And the third reason is the land was polluted by blood from idol worship. You can read that in Ezekiel 36 verse 19. Adonai's hand was forced against his will. For the sake of his holy name, he had to act. And that confirmation, Ezekiel 36 verse 22 and 23. Adonai promised, though, to bring them back, to bring Israel back to the land. And he did do so after 70 years. 70 years in Babylonian diaspora is the number of sabbatical years that is in the Psalm 7 times 70. Adonai forgave them 70 times 7 or 7 times 70 times, as Yeshua explained in Matthew 18 verse 22. But after that, the measure of his wrath, his holy wrath, was full, and he had to act. Yes, 7 times 70 is 490. It's a very real number. Let me take a step back where it comes from. Peter asked Yeshua, how many times should I forgive somebody who trespass against me? And even 7 times. And Yeshua's answer was 7 times 70 times. That's 490. It's not a meaningless number. It's a hard number. It's a real number. And 70 is a concrete number as well. As you can see, it comes from the days that the Torah was not upheld for 490 years. Adonai forgave 7 times 70 times, but thereafter he forgave no more. Then the diaspora happened. But Adonai brought Israel back as he is true to his word. Yeshua is his word made flesh, remember? And that's explained in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 1, 2, 3, and 4. However, in Ezekiel 36, verse 24 to 38, we read about Israel's return not after the Babylonian exile, but after the second and greater diaspora. And this diaspora lasted for more than 1,750 years, or 250 sabbatical years, if you like. That's counting from the end of the Bar Kokhba revolt until the 14th of May 1948. 250 sabbatical years. Incidentally, if you count Jacob's following after Joseph to Egypt, then Ezekiel 36 talks about a third return, not a second. But I'll stay with the second for now, for the sake of simplicity. In our day, Ezekiel 36's prophecy is being fulfilled before our eyes as the Messianic faith is growing hand over fist amongst young Israelis. And I have to say my heart breaks for the older generation because I see the parallel between the exodus from Egypt, where the older generation had to die in the wilderness and only the new generation entered into the promised land. As the Messianic faith is adopted in Israel, it's mostly young people who comes to faith in the Jewish Messiah. And my heart breaks for the generation who seems in their rejection of Yeshua that they're going to die in the wilderness, as the Exodus generation did. The reason why there's a current snowballing growth of the Messianic faith in Israel is because Adonai is true to his promises. His bride, his wife-to-be, his chosen people. Who's your chosen person? Certainly it's your husband or your wife, right? The chosen people of Adonai is Israel. The chosen people of Adonai is also known as his bride, and Israel is the bride. His promises to his bride, to his chosen people, to his wife-to-be is given in Ezekiel 36 verse 38. I want to encourage you to read that for yourself. And then we'll jump onto the prophet portion for Parashat Pekudei, and that is in Ezekiel 45 and 46. These verses contain the sacrificial arrangement or the instruction for Yeshua's millennial reign. In Ezekiel 46 verse 6 to 11, we read that Adonai will pour out his wrath on the nation that oppressed his people, while in stark contrast he will bless Israel in order to prove that he is Adonai to Israel. Remember in the previous prophet portion, Adonai were returning Israel to the land to show to the nations that he is Adonai. But with this Aliyah, return to the land, Adonai has done with the nations. He is showing to his chosen people Israel that he is Adonai. And Israel is blossoming. The world must prepare for an oppression that will come by the hand of the Persian goat, the Antichrist. If you read the Daniel 8 prophecy, you should take note of Daniel 8 verse 19 that says the prophecy is not about Alexander the Great, it is about the end times. Persia will become strong and stronger. It will intimidate all the nations in the world, unexpectedly somebody, a sheep ram, will come out of Yavan. In the days of Daniel, there was no Greece, it didn't exist yet. So Yavan refers to Europe. Out of Europe will come a ram that will defeat the goat of Iran, and the whole world will follow after this ram, calling it the savior of the world. But it won't be the savior, it will be the Antichrist. Please read Daniel 8 for yourself attentively. Once the millennium reign is established, the Israeli people will bring sacrifices to Yeshua during the millennial reign. Of wheat and barley, they'll bring 1/6 of an ephah out of a homer. A homer is 10 ephahs. So a willing contribution, or a contribution of 1.667% of the harvest. Regarding oil, it is 1 bath out of each homer and 10 baths in a homer. So more or less 10% of the, no, not more or less, exactly 10% of the harvest. In the case of lambs, it will be 1 lamb out of a flock of 200, or 0.5% of the yield in lambs that must be brought to him as sacrifices, as a free will offering. In exchange for these free will offerings or sacrifices, Yeshua, the prince, is called the prince in Ezekiel 45 and 46, he will provide all the required burnt offerings, all the required grain offerings, all the required drink offerings or libations, if you like. Note that in the millennial reign, the sacrificial system will be functional. The temple will be rebuilt and the sacrificial system will be functional. The sacrifices will be brought by Yeshua himself. Don't let people who tell you that it's all been done away with mislead you. No. This is in commemoration of what he's done before, that the Moedim will be celebrated and the sacrifices will be brought to honor God, burnt offerings and grain offerings and libations. For all the Moedim in the temple, Yeshua will provide the sacrifices, and for every Shabbat, and for every new moon, and for all the rest of the Moedim as well. He will also provide, that means prepare, all the sin offerings for the people, all the meal offerings, all the burnt offerings, and all the fellowship offerings to make atonement for the house of Israel. And for those nations who reject Israel, for those nations or individuals who reject Israel, well, if they're not grafted in or adopted into the house of Israel, there can be no atonement for them. It is specifically mentioned in Ezekiel that Yeshua the Prince will bring sin offerings on the first day of the first month, and also on the 7th day of the first month for unintended sin. As it is in the Torah, there's no sacrifice for willful sin, only for unintended sin. He will sacrifice a bull every day during the Passover and the Matzah feast, the feast of unleavened bread, from the 14th until the 21st day of the first month. And for him alone bringing these sacrifices, the east gate in Jerusalem will be opened on the Shabbatot and on the Moedim and on the new moons and on other occasions on which he brings sacrifices or offerings. The Prince Yeshua, Ezekiel writes, will worship Adonai at the threshold of the east gate. And after he goes out, so will the people then come and worship at the threshold of the east gate. The prince alone will enter and leave through the east gate, nobody else. The people of Israel will either enter through the north gate and then exit on the south, or enter from the south and exit through the north. It facilitates the flow of people through the temple, but it carries a very important meaning as well. Once you encounter the living God, you cannot go back the way you came. you go away from encountering the living God by a different way, because you are a different person, newborn in Him. And then there's a last verse that I just want to touch on. I'm a South African. In South Africa, we have this law, EWC law, that expropriate property without compensation. To the South African government, I want to invite them to read Ezekiel 46, verse 18. Property rights are protected in the Bible. It's protected by God. Woe to you, ANC, and woe to you, Government of National Unity, Wildebeestgene, in South Africa, for this EWC legislation. It's an abomination to Adonai. You will answer for it. I almost feel like P.W. Botha sticking my finger out, but that was unintended. I pray that Adonai Eloheinu will bless you and keep you, that He will shine His face upon you and be gracious to you. I pray that He will lift His countenance, His provision on you, and that He will give you shalom. Shalom, shalom.